Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm Mark, this is Spiguyver Backpacking, and it's no secret that I like stoves. I enjoy testing stoves, I enjoy using stoves. I mean really, when you're out backpacking, one of the big things that you're thinking about all day is food. You're thinking about what you're going to eat for dinner. You're thinking about that next snack or that next cup of coffee or the cup of coffee in the morning. But a lot of that revolves around stoves. And so I've done series where I've tested stoves. I've had a bunch of different stoves. I've had probably over 100 stoves. Yeah, a lot of stoves. I've got drawers full of stoves. I'm never one to shy away from new stoves or trying new things out. So when somebody reached out to me and said, hey, we've got a stove we'd like you to test out, or a little stove system, well, you know, that's right up my alley. And what I do like is that it is an alcohol stove. And you guys know that I love alcohol stoves. I think that they're great. If you are into getting out into nature and you don't like the roar of a little, canister stove, or the fuss and really having to work through getting a white gas stove to work, and the weight that comes along with those, the alcohol stoves are a really good alternative to those. They're quiet, the fuel is easy to come by and cheap. It's just a really simple system. But there are some drawbacks to it. Number one, the fuel, you've got to have some way to carry it. So you've got to have something like this, a little bottle that you can put denatured alcohol in. So you can get like denatured alcohol from Home Depot or Lowe's. That's mainly, it's there for fuel. You could get the yellow bottle heat. Don't get the red bottle, but the yellow bottle of heat works really good. It's ethanol, and so that works. If you get isopropyl alcohol, you've got to get the really high percentage of isopropyl alcohol. Otherwise, you get a lot of soot and a lot of black smoke out of it. So that's one of the things to consider if you're doing that. The other one that a lot of people shy away from alcohol stoves for is that there's no on-off. You fill it, you light it, and then you pretty much have to let it burn out. There are some stoves that you can snuff out, but then you've got to deal with what are you doing with the alcohol that's left. Are you trying to reclaim it back into your bottle, or are you going to, is it a system that you can actually seal up and carry it that way? So there are some out there. I think like the Trangia, you can actually fill it up, cap it, snuff it out, cap it, tighten it down, and then you can carry it with the fuel in there. So there are a lot of different options, different ways to go about it. So let's talk about what was sent to me and what I've got here in front of me. Okay, so in this little pouch here, I have the hot stove. And it's a system that actually comes from the Ulrich Cottage Designs Etsy store. So it's out on Etsy right now, and it's actually a two-piece system. Well, three-piece if you consider the bag. So you've got this little mesh bag that holds the two pieces. So the first piece is this folding pot support stand. Really what it is it is an ESBE stove. So it's a folding ESBE stove. So you've got the square right here that you can put a solid fuel tab on there and light. I don't like using those. I know that a lot of people out there do, but that's one of the things about this system is that if you're using this system the way that it's sold, the way that it is advertised to be used, you could actually carry some of those tabs with you. So if you were to run out of fuel, if you run out of these, or out of alcohol, you could grab that emergency fuel tab, throw it in there, and you've always got a backup. They're extremely light, so you could have 2 or 3 of them in kind of your emergency supplies, and that gives you a way to have a fuel source if you were to run out of fuel, if you ended up hurt or moving slower than you thought, and so between fuel stops or resupply points, or the time you were out on the trail it was longer than what you expected, you now have a way to do that. So this is the first piece, the folding ESBE stove piece, and then the second is a little puck design stove. So it's got a screw on top, and then it's got the carbon felt inside, and this one's actually, it's got a little notch in it, a little V notch in there that I haven't seen before, and I'm not sure if there is a purpose for that or not, but it doesn't hinder the use of it at all. So What I do like about these types of stoves are they are easy to be snuffed out. You could actually take the cap itself, put it back on there, put it on there upside down, or just use your pot and snuff it out if you can get to it. The problem is with this, when you set it in there, which that's how it's designed to be used, is with the puck sitting down in there, it's hard to get to it to actually snuff it out. Now you could drop that on there, but you've got to get there pretty good. So a little bit difficult to actually snuff it out using this system, but this system works really well for, I've got the 550, and the 550 actually sits on there. This is the Tokes 550 ultralight. Sits on there really well, and with that puck in there and this on here, it gives about that optimal gap between the stove and the bottom of your pot. And so it actually isn't an efficient spot to actually heat and burn. So how does it work? Like, how well does it work? So what I've done is I've used a 1/2 ounce of fuel. So I use this little cup here. It's like a little, you can get these from like Dimetap or cough medicine or whatever. Clean it out and use it, and it's got grams, it's got drams, it's got ounces on there. And so you can actually, and milliliters, cc's as well. So you can actually go ahead and use this. So I was doing it just to see what I would get, what kind of performance, burn times. This will hold up to 1 ounce. I filled up my Tokes 550 with 12 ounces of cold water, put a 1/2 ounce of denatured alcohol into here, lit it, put it on there, and in 6 minutes and 10 seconds I had a strong rolling boil. It burned for about 8 minutes and 30 seconds, but the usable flame was only good for about 7 minutes and 45 seconds. After that, it really wasn't a burning flame. It was just kind of as it fizzled out. It wasn't the full flame anymore, and so it wasn't enough to even keep the water boiling, even in an isolated area. So what you'll see is that you'll go from a full rolling boil to a smaller piece inside, or a smaller section that's actually got the boil going, and then the boil will completely go away. So the boil completely went away at about 7 minutes and 45 seconds. And then it burned out, like I said, at 8 minutes and 30 seconds, a little after, but that's what I got out of that. And that's with a 1/2 ounce. So if you had if you needed more than 12 ounces, like 16 ounces, you could try it with the 1/2 ounce. What I will say is that this was tested, in this case, it was tested for time in a no wind environment. I will say that I also did use this out in the field. I've taken it on 2 overnighters, and I have been able to cook everything that I needed using a 1/2 ounce each time. So 1/2 ounce is what I've gone with. So let's talk about the weight of this system. So the bag is about, it's about 10 grams. Okay, so you've got about 10 grams there. You've got 10.8 grams on the puck itself. So the actual stove is 10.8 grams. But then you've got this pot holder, the pot stand itself, which is really, like I said before, an ESBE solid fuel stove. And this is 99 grams. So 10.8, 99, you've got like 107 grams right there. Yeah, about 110 grams. Let's just go with that. And then if you add this in, if you're actually putting it together, this will fit, not great, but it fits inside. You can close it up. And you can see that it doesn't close completely. It does stay open a little bit, and then you can slide it back inside the bag, and you can carry it that way. And while I do think this is a good kit for someone that doesn't have anything, I do think there are ways to use this stove, the actual burner, and make this a better system. So if you're in the market for something that has dual use, so like I said, you can use the burner. If you have fuel tabs, you can use the fuel tabs there, and this becomes a pretty good system. If you put this with this side to the wind, it actually blocks the wind really well. I was experimenting in some winds out in the outdoors. Like I said, I was able to use this with 1/2 ounce of fuel. The other really cool thing about this type of stove that really gets around some of the concerns that people have with alcohol stoves, and I'll go ahead and just demonstrate this right now, is even if I put a bunch of fuel in here, I mean, I'm putting quite a bit of fuel in here. The best part about these puck stoves is that there was a big concern that with some of the stoves, if you knock them over, there's gonna be fuel spilling all over. Well, I've got this thing with a ½ ounce of fuel in it. I've got it completely upside down, and there is no fuel coming out of there because it's all wicked into the wick that's in there. And this is one where if you were to blow it out, snuff it out, you could put the cap on it and carry it that way and reuse what's in there. Now you may have some evaporation. It doesn't have a completely watertight seal on here, so you may lose a little bit, but it can be done that way. But let me show you how I actually found I would use this. I'll show you a couple different ways that it could be used to use this burner, which I really do like, and cut the weight down significantly. Like I said, if you're looking for something with dual purpose, that you have a little bit of a backup, this works really well, and it's a simple system. But let's take it to that next level. If you are more of an ultralighter, and this really fits into the ultralight scheme, the alcohol stove thing really fits into the ultralight theme, how do we knock some weight off of it? So let's see. Okay, so here's what I've got. I have the cone from Zelf that goes with my 550. So this 550 pot actually has a rolled edge around it, so you can see that little lip that comes out, and a titanium cone that works perfectly. And when you put those together, it creates a great system. Difference is this cone, this entire cone weighs 14.9 grams. So instead of using a 99 gram pot stand, I've got a 14.9 gram pot stand. So now 14.9, 10.8, I've got about a 25 gram, which is just over an ounce system that pairs with my pot and gives me a killer system. Now, the problem with this is that you actually have to buy this. It has to be rolled, and so it's a little bit difficult to come by, especially if they aren't making them anymore. So what you can do is get some of this hardware cloth, which is just a fancy name for this 1/4 inch mesh, or 1/2 inch mesh, I don't know, 3/8 inch mesh, I don't know what it is. I bought a whole sheet of it, cut it out using tin snips, and made these. And so this fits around the stove, the burner, as a pot stand. And then I have this, which weighs almost nothing. It's probably 5 grams. I'll get a weight on it. But this will wrap around there. And now I've got a contained system here. And the best part about this is that, unlike this one, which even when it's folded up, doesn't fit inside of my pot, has to be stored outside, I can take the stove or the burner, drop it in, the pot stand, drop it in, and let's do it this way. Wrap this around here. And the windscreen, drop it all in there, and I have everything inside of my pot, which makes it really nice. So let me get a weight on this real quick. Okay, so I've got the pot stand. The pot stand is 14.6, and this windscreen is 5.3. So total, if I put these together, drop them on here, you've got 19.9 grams plus the 10.8. So for about 30 grams, a little over 30 grams, you've got a self-contained system that'll fit down inside of your pot and stow away. Okay, so the Hot Flame from Ulrich Cottage Designs on Etsy is a great little system. I really like the burner. I love this type of burner. I like that you can snuff it out, it's not gonna spill, and it works really well. It's quiet, it's efficient, it's light, it works. I like the fact that it fits in here, gives the right gap between the flame and the bottom of your pot when set on there. It can expand and open up for a bigger pot, and it can double as a solid fuel stove with an ESBE tab right there in the center. What I don't like is the weight on this piece. At 99 grams, it's a little too much for me in most cases. Now, this could be something I would throw into a small backpack for a day trip or something and use it to make coffee, all good. But if I'm going out backpacking, I'm gonna use something that I've already got, which is this cone, since it pairs with my pot, and drop this in here, and for about 25 grams or about an ounce, I have a complete stove system. Fits inside of my pot, carries really well, and uses this great burner. If you guys have any questions, any comments, leave them down below. I will leave a link to where you can pick up this stove, this kit, right down below. Appreciate you guys checking this out, and I will see you guys down the trail.